All right, let's continue our mini lessons with learning some prioritization method. The first one is relative ranking. Guys, what did I say? Okay, we have product backlog with bunch of user stories. Okay, we have broken down all those features, epics, themes, bigger requirements into user stories. But our development team cannot start working on all user stories at once. Okay, we need to prioritize. By prioritize, what do I mean? I mean, okay, which user story, which features brings more value to the customer? Here in prioritization, PO has a very important role, okay? The first prioritization method is relative ranking. So, Scrum Master facilitates a meeting. Between whom? Between product owner, stakeholders could be in that meeting, and development team, okay? And a Scrum Master is also there. Now, in this meeting, what do we do in relative ranking? We just talk, okay? We open up product backlog, and PO will talk with the stakeholders, okay? And development team is just listening here. PO will say, hey, stakeholders, hey, customer, what features are the most important things, okay? And they will discuss and say, for example, hey, you know what? Appointment booking is very important. Now, in appointment booking, because appointment booking is a broad term. It could be a peak or feature, okay? Now, we have broken down it, for example, into 4 user stories, like you see here. Now, in these user stories, okay, which user story is more important to you? Which one brings more value? Which one you want to see first in your mobile app? We talk. With discussion, relative ranking means comparing user stories against each other, okay? There is no numeric score or anything else, just talking and comparing relatively with each other. For example, we came up to a conclusion that user story 1 has a priority of high, user story 2 medium, user story 4, for example, low. So now we update our product backlog. Like I said before, product backlog, unlike a scope statement, which was a frozen document, product backlog needs to be groomed and refined continuously by new inputs, by filling up different columns. And we fill up the column of priority, the fourth column in the previous mini lesson, with these high, medium, low findings that we just got from our meeting. Okay, now development team knows, okay, they need to start their sprint by building user story 1. And then when user story 1 is done, they can go to user story 2 and then user story 4. They cannot start with user story 2 or 4 because the priority is not high there. This is relative ranking, just talking and comparing user stories against each other. The next prioritization method is called MoSCoW. I'm sure you have heard it before. MoSCoW is a broad technique that could be used in any field. What is MoSCoW, guys? MoSCoW use 4 tags, okay? What are those tags? Must, should, could, would, or won't. I mean, some resources say would, in some resources say like won't now. Now, what do I mean? MoSCoW has 4 tags. Guys, these tags are based on importance and necessity for our product, okay? So the must is the most important tag, and the W1, want or would, is the least important tag. What do I mean? So, for example, we open up product backlog and Scrum Master has facilitated a meeting. PO and stakeholders are talking. PO would be like, guys, user story number 1. Is this a must user story, or a could user story, a should user story, or won't user story? By must, we mean we can't ship the release without it. This functionality is vital, okay? This is the most important thing. This is must tag. If a user story is the vital functionality and we cannot release anything without that user story, that could be tagged as must. User story 1 is must. Why must? Because this user story is core value of this release. Okay. Now, user story number 2. The tag is should. What does should mean, guys? Should means very important, but we can ship without it briefly. Now, one question from you. Can we release user story number 2 before user story number 1? Look at user stories. User stories is capability to book appointment. User story number 2 is capability to cancel appointment. You cannot cancel an appointment that is not being booked. So that's why user story number 1 is a must. User story, we need to finish it first. And then user story number 2 is should. Very important, canceling an appointment important, but we still can release user story number 1 functionality in the first sprint, and then in the next sprint, we can work on user story number 2. It's a should. The level of importance and necessity is should, not must. It is still important, but less than user story number 1. Okay? And the third tag is could. Guys, could are nice to have things. If we got time, if we have enough efforts and resources, okay? So the most important one is must, and then should, and then could. Could are nice to have features. It is nice to have a good UI design, UX experience, okay? So nice to haves are called could, and would is, guys, we won't work on that user story for this sprint. So won't now. We wouldn't do it right now because we have more important things to do and focus on. Okay? So let's wrap it up. These two, relative ranking and MoSCoW method, is used to prioritize user stories. Why do we need to prioritize user stories? Because our development team cannot develop every request, every functionality, every user story at once. They need to pull just a little amount of work because they have a limited capability, not unlimited capability. So our product backlog need to be prioritized so team could easily pull the most important items and start working on them. Now, will you get a question from prioritization methods like relative ranking and MoSCoW, and we're gonna learn more? Will you get a question? You may. Do you want to see what type of question? Yes or no? You got 2 seconds. Thanks for saying yes. So let's get the next mini question done, guys, together. All right, let's get this mini question done. You are a project manager overseeing a hybrid project to develop a customer engagement platform. Midway through the project, the team is divided. Developers want to complete the backend enhancements for scalability, while marketing pushes for front-end features to support an upcoming launch. A key stakeholder questions the project's value delivery, and the sponsor asks you to realign the team's focus. What should you do first to address the situation? A. Facilitate a joint value-based prioritization session with stakeholders and both teams to determine which features provide the most value. B. Direct the development team to shift focus to front-end features as they provide immediate visible value to stakeholders. C. Apply MoSCoW prioritization with the leadership team to quickly categorize deliverables and enforce a unified feature roadmap. D. Instruct each team to create a prioritized list of deliverables and then merge the list to create a compromise plan. Very, very good question, guys. Wow. And I'm sure you're between, I guess, 2 options, okay? Take your time. Just pause the video, go through the options, and get me the right one. But try to use the mindsets, guys. Try to use the MIAT if possible. Try to use strong negative, strong positive words. Like if you see strong negative word, eliminate. Let me know what you've done. Let's go through the, first of all, first line, hybrid project. What's hybrid project? Hybrid project is a project that uses both predictive approach and adaptive approach, okay? We have huge project. For some certain known parts of the project, we use predictive approach, and for those parts of the project that there are lots of uncertainties, we use adaptive approach. So hybrid is mix of predictive and adaptive. And guys, the problem is the development team, okay, does not know what is important. What should they work on, okay? One party says, you know what, backend tasks and user stories are more important. The other party says, no, front-end tasks and user stories are more important. And the stakeholder says, hey, like we want value delivery, like take some action, asks you to take some actions, and also sponsor says, hey, do something, I'm paying you, whether you just waiting for, like do something. Now, what should you do, guys? Let's go through the options. Option A says facilitate a joint value-based prioritization session with stakeholders and both teams to determine which features provide the most value. Wow. So there are very, very good things about this option. Option A, first of all, apply our MEAT. MEAT, identify the problem, analyze the impact, and take some action. It has the M part, facilitating a joint session. Okay. It has the take action part. Take action part is determining which features provide the most value. This is the take action part. They know the problem, so identifying the problem is, they know the problem in that meeting, and analyze the impact is not there. But still, it has good portion of MEAT. And another good thing about option A suggests a solution that really resolves the problem. The problem is team does not know what tasks they need to focus. And option A suggests, hey, you know what? Do some prioritization session. Use relative ranking or MoSCoW. It doesn't talk about a specific method, but it says, hey, you like have first of all, joint value-based prioritization. Okay, value-based prioritization means, okay, you need to go through user stories and prioritize those that add most value to our product, and brings most value to our customer. And it is joint session. So you get stakeholders input, you get both teams input. So everybody is in that meeting, and it nurtures collaboration. There are lots of good things about option A, and it tries to resolve the concern, which is this chaos. I like option A. I'm not gonna eliminate it for now. Let's see other options. Option B suggests direct the development team to shift focus to front-end features. See? So it picks one side, one party's suggestion, and ignores the other one. Why front-end? What if back-end is more important? Maybe front-end is important, but you don't know it yet. You cannot direct and ask, okay, just focus on that. And remember, guys, for Agile, we don't direct, okay? In Agile projects, we don't direct, no. Team is the one who's responsible to develop something, and PO is the one who says what backlog is more important, what backlog items are more important, and focus on. Okay, so directing and just picking one side without analysis, without getting everybody's input is so not Agile. So we eliminate option B. And remember, guys, direct is a strong negative word. Remember, directing. And yeah, it had one strong negative word. So we eliminate option B. Option C suggests apply MoSCoW prioritization. So far, very good. So MoSCoW is one of the prioritization methods. Cool. With the leadership team to quickly categorize deliverables. So and enforce a unified feature roadmap. So two problems, guys. Problem number one, it gets the input only from leadership. What about development team? Okay. So it just focuses on one small portion of stakeholders, not everyone. But option A, compared with option A suggests a joint session. Everybody's input is important. Option D ignores a big portion of the stakeholders and enforce. Guys, enforce, strong negative word. See, if you were between option A and option C, which you have the right to be between in these two options, use mindsets, guys. Option A has some portion of MEAT. Option C has strong negative word. Enforce. Enforce is very bad word. We don't enforce as project managers. No. Who are you to, who are we to enforce something? No. This is not the way we manage projects. So that's why option C will be eliminated. Option D, instruct each team to create a prioritized list of deliverables. So see, silos, guys. So we had two teams. One team come up with their prioritization list. The other, no, have joint session. This is only one project. This is not two projects. One project needs one joint session. one unified product backlog? Why do you want to make it silos? Why do you want to do it individually? No, merge them together right now. Why later? So that's why option D is not a correct option. Let's read the description. Option A encourages collaborative decision making based on business value, a core agile and hybrid principle. Guys, collaboration. Option A signals collaboration. So that joint session and collaboration is strong positive word. Okay. And option A also prevents bias towards one team's preferences and ensures alignment with the stakeholders' expectations, because option B, for example, suggests bias, which is not cool. And option A also resolves conflict by involving all relevant parties in the prioritization process. Guys, there is a conflict in the question, okay? Now, you cannot resolve conflict by making them in silos, by talking in silos. No, you need to bring everyone together and then try to resolve the conflict. This was a very good question. Now, are we done with prioritization methods? No, we're not done. Let's continue our prioritization methods with one of the cool and numeric and objective ways to prioritize our user stories. Let's get it done.